Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to another episode of the Token and Hobbs show here on the Road to Liberty Network. We're glad you all decided to join us here tonight. We are very excited to bring you tonight's show. I, of course, am your host, Token, joined with my partner in crime, Mr. Dustin Hobbs. What's up, man?
Yo. It's another Token and Hobbs Tuesday.
Yo. You had a good weekend this weekend?
Yeah, the weekend was all right, but I think that the big thing was last night's interview with presidential candidate Joe Jorgensen. Biggest show that this podcast has ever done, and it's still growing. Comments are still rolling in, likes are still coming onto the page. Everything's just gravy.
Yeah, imagine Boo Boys, and you got a recipe for success. And
I know, yeah.
Mama Joe and all her little Boog Boy children, and that's the image that popped into mind. But yeah, it was great. It had a lot of people with a lot of you had a lot of guests on who have followings of their own, and of course, Joe Jorgensen there to answer all their questions.
Yep, it was a very good episode. Stuff. Yeah, after the interview. You guys haven't. Go ahead.
If you guys haven't listened to it yet, check it out on our Facebook page. It's up there now, and it's gonna be when's it gonna go up on the podcast?
You'll have to ask Ben.
Yep. Ben. Ben, get it up there already, Ben. Come on, producer Ben. Do your magic.
Yep.
But yeah, it was fun stuff. I'm glad you guys were able to do that, even after the little scheduling mix-up you guys had the week before.
Mm-hmm. It went very, very smooth, considering we'd never done anything like that before, where we're pulling guests in and out, and had 4 different guys asking questions, and the questions were all great. After the interview, she stuck around for a couple more minutes and said that she was very pleasantly surprised at the substance of the questions. She was expecting just the same old crap that everybody that she talks to asks, and these questions were quite a bit different, and she was pleased and surprised. Something just kept her on her toes. So really good.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect any less from a bunch of Boog Boys, because they got different concerns than most, standard everyday libertarians, right. Which is what I'm guessing she are the kind of people she's used to talking to the most, right?
Probably.
So she probably gets the question every single interview. Oh, how are you going to get onto the debate stage? That sort of thing.
Favorite. That one was asked a lot down in the comments while we were, and I kind of was like, hey, that's up to you guys. That's not on her. That's on you.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that, like, I've seen a lot of people be like, well, how come third parties aren't on the debate stage? Like, because the 2 parties don't want them on the debate stage, dummy. You think the Republicans? You think Joe Biden and Donald Trump want Joe Jorgensen on the debate stage? No. Nope. That's why she's not there. That's why Gary Johnson wasn't there, right? That's why you don't see the Green Party and the Constitution Party. That's why you don't see any of those guys on the debate stage, because the 2 main parties don't want them there.
Right. The threshold it's 15% support across 5 national polls that the Debates Commission cherry picks. So, like, let's say that there's 6 and she gets 15% out of 5 of them, then they will throw that one that she didn't get in there as one of their 5 and be like, oh, look, didn't make it to 15% in the 5 that we picked, because the Debates Commission.
Well,
yeah, the Debates
Commission. Next time.
Yeah, the Debates Commission is a private organization that's staffed with Democrat and Republican apparatchiks.
Right. And the last time a third party was allowed to debate the 2 main party candidates was when Ross Perot did it, and
scorched them.
Man, and man, everyone blames him for throwing the election for Bill Clinton.
No.
And ever since then, you're not going to see a third. You're not going to see the two main parties debate a third party candidate. Let's say Joe even made the criteria, as impossible as that is.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not going to show up, right?
Right.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump will just decide we don't have to take part in this debate, and they'll hold their own separate debate with CNN or something like that, right? Or Fox News or whatever the case may be. They'll set something up so that they can continue debating each other and excluding everybody else.
Yeah. Or, Trump will say that there's a national security risk and I have to stay in the bunker, and Joe Biden will be busy like trying to reshingle his house with pancakes or something.
he'll be sitting in his basement sucking his thumb. We're like, don't make me go outside. Don't make me go outside. It's like, who are you voting for, Joe Biden? I don't know.
Vote for Joe. Don't vote for Joe, but not that Joe. This Joe. Maybe the other Joe. I don't know. There's another Joe. Oh.
And Joe Jorgensen will probably get a few votes just on the fact that their first names are the same.
And one of those votes will be Joe Biden when he gets confused and checks the box next to the wrong Joe.
Right? Like he'll go in there and be like, Joe, I know that name.
Am I the Joe with the E or without the E?
I forget. Let me take out my driver's license. Oh shit, I don't have a driver's license. Yeah. I'm too old to drive.
Yep.
I haven't driven myself in 40 years.
Sad but true.
Poor guy. And did you hear about this shit going on with Joe Rogan right now? Apparently he's being canceled because he's questioning Joe Biden's mental abilities.
I'm halfway through today's Joe Rogan experience with Coleon Noir, and I just got past that part there where him and Coleon Noir were talking about Trump and Biden, and both of them they agreed. It's like, he could have the best policy positions in the world, and I still couldn't vote for him just because it's obvious that he's got dementia of some variety. So yeah, it's like his policies suck. Yeah, that's a given. But he's also senile or has dementia or Alzheimer's, or something ain't right upstairs. And yeah.
Yeah, and for Joe Biden, the pick of vice president is probably the most important pick of any vice presidential pick ever, because, well, for obvious reasons. I mean, the guy is so old, so senile, that I don't know if he'll make it 4 years, or God forbid if he has to make it 8 years.
Well,
right? But he's basing it. Yeah,
no, I was going to say it's implied that you're not actually voting for Joe Biden. You're voting for whoever his VP pick is.
Right, but he's picking his VP based on the most idiotic criteria. Like right off the bat, he's like, it has to be a woman. Like, you have to pick the most qualified person because they're probably going to end up president if you win. And you're like, I'm going to pick a disabled woman of color, and she's going to have an extra pinky toe. And what was I saying again? Who am I? I forget. Like, oh, come on, dude. Really? Like, you can't just come out and say, I'm going to pick. I know how important this VP pick is for me specifically. So I'm going to pick the best person. Instead, he's just being like, it's going to be a woman because
he's
social justice.
I'm
like, if it's that important to you that it's a woman, why did you run for president? Why didn't you let Elizabeth Warren get the nomination? Why didn't you let Kamala Harris get the nomination? Right? They were running, but I can't remember what other candidate. There was a couple other candidates who were trying to make this point again. I think, was it Beto? It may have been Beto. It's like, I want to amplify the voices of women and people of color in my administration. Like, then drop out. Why are you here?
Yeah, there's several of them. There's several of them right there on stage next to you. If you want to amplify their voices, get off the stage, dipshit.
Right?
Yeah, the thing is, it's like Biden's not picking his VP. Somebody else is picking it for him. And I honestly would not be surprised if he picked somebody and then that person, once they got nominated and Joe was like 25th Amendmented out, would then turn around and pick somebody that we all know, like Hillary Clinton or somebody, to be the vice president after Joe gets the 25th Amendment treatment. And then that person would resign, and then Hillary Clinton would be the fucking president.
Oh god, can you imagine though?
I would not put it past them one bit. And Jim Henry says, can we get Tucker Carlson on here next? I wish we had that kind of pull. I like Tucker. I do. I like Tucker. I like his style, and I like his like perplexed.
I like that look that he gives people.
Yeah. Did I hear what I think I just heard?
the Tucker Carlson look is just it's phenomenon.
Yes.
I mean, we've had big guests on the show before, but big by libertarian standards, not like Tucker Carlson. I don't think we're going to get like a nationally syndicated TV host to come on the show. But I mean, maybe extend those emails out. Tell him that you want him on the Road to Liberty podcast. I want to have him look at me like that.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool. You know, I've thrown a few emails out there to some bigger names. I haven't heard back from a lot of them. One of them, probably nobody watching this would know, but I extended an email invitation to David Knight, and he was like, "Nope, y'all are on too late. I'm in bed by then." So I'm like, "All right, fine."
How old is he? I don't know. I don't know who that is.
He's in his 70s, and he had a heart attack last year. So, and he says he's up at 3:00. He's the guy that does the 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. block for Alex Jones on InfoWars, and he is a nationally syndicated radio and TV host. So that would be pretty cool, but whatever.
You're on too late. Like fair.
Yeah.
I guess 9:00 too late. Okay, Boomer. I guess we can forgive you for that. Wait, Tucker Carlson would be fun to have. What we were talking about? We were talking about
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Oh yeah, Joe Rogan getting canceled for questioning the mental capabilities of Joe Biden. This is such a stupid thing to be mad at Joe Rogan for. One, if you're mad at Joe Rogan for anything, you're just a pussy. You should just check out of life entirely. Just get off the internet and live in your own little bubble, because Joe Rogan's probably the nicest podcaster that you can ever come across. I mean, honestly, Joe Rogan is probably the most likable guy with a podcast in the world.
Yeah.
Right? I don't understand how anybody could not like Joe Rogan and to get mad at him because he knows that Joe Biden obviously has some mental problems going on. That's a stupid thing to get mad at him for, because you're just lying to yourself at that point. Like, dude, we know that something's wrong with Joe Biden. Stop trying to gaslight us. We're not as stupid as you are, all right? Or at least not as stupid as you think we are. You just expect us to ignore this shit. Come on.
That's the thing. It's not that they're lying to themselves. They know just as well as we know that Joe Biden has mental problems going on. It's just that they are upset that somebody with as much reach is so openly calling attention to it. Something you'd expect from somebody like Tucker Carlson or anybody over on Fox News. But for somebody who views himself as more on the left side of the spectrum, like Joe Rogan, they expect him to just fall in line, shut your mouth, and don't bring up any of this until November. Joe is a man who seems to have a decent amount of integrity, and he's not going to keep his mouth shut. Even if he, disagrees with Donald Trump on a lot of things, he's going to call attention that Joe Biden is obviously lacking in his mental faculties.
And they're still mad at him for saying that biological men shouldn't fight biological women in the octagon. They're still mad at him for that. Like, just get over it. That's a dumb thing to be mad at him, especially since Joe Rogan is an MMA guy. Like, that's his expertise. And you got these liberal arts college students be like, "Oh no, I actually I know more about it than you do, Joe Rogan. You should listen to me instead." You're canceled.
Yeah.
Get out of here, Joe.
Yeah, it reminds me of that very last scene in Inglorious Bastards where he's gonna like carve a swastika into that one dude's head, and he's like, "You'll be hanged for this," and he's like, "No, I'll probably get chewed out. I've been chewed out before." It's like Joe Rogan be like, "You'll be canceled." Yeah, I've been canceled before. I'm not too worried about it.
Dude, I watched that movie right after I got out of basic training, and it's like, oh, that's an excellent line. I'm gonna use that line. Like, you'll get in trouble. Pfft, I'll get yelled at. I've been yelled at before. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
But that's the funniest thing about basic training in the military. Like, most of the time, getting in trouble is just getting screamed at by random people. And if you're okay with that, it's a cakewalk, right? It's not hard to get through basic training because most of the time you're just getting screamed at. And if you're just like, I've been screamed at before, you're good. Easy peasy.
Before my nephew went to basic training, he asked me if I had any tips, and I said, come in third for everything. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, don't try to be the PT stud. Don't try to be Mr. Best uniform. Be at least third place in everything you do, because it's all about uniformity, and the nail that stands out gets hammered down. Don't draw attention to yourself in basic training. Nothing in basic training is worth anything that you get. Just glide through it, keep your mouth shut, and stay under the radar.
Yeah, and especially don't stand out as excellent, because then they'll expect you to do shit, and that's the last thing you want to do.
Yep, they'll make you the platoon guide, or they'll make you a squad leader, and then suddenly everybody else's fuck-ups are your fuck-ups too.
Yeah, you're the dorm chief all of a sudden, and it's like, oh, you expect things of me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't, like, the guy they pick out to be in charge of all the other idiots, he doesn't know any more than you do. They just picked him and pretend like he does. And now he's responsible for your dumbass. So like, oh, don't be that guy. And at the same time, don't be the shitbag either. Like, that guy. That one guy that he's always out of step. He's never in line the right way. He can't keep up on a run. You know that. His bed's never made right. He can't fold his socks.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy either. Just be in the middle, right? Like in my case, I was like one of the shortest dudes too, so nobody ever saw me anyway.
Yeah.
I was always in the back.
Yep.
It was like, oh, this is perfect for me. It was actually funny because there was one dude who was shorter than me, and he was much shorter than me. He was like fucking a midget. It was crazy, this dude, and he was so serious about everything. He was always like trying to prove himself and shit. Whereas me, I'm just kind of like,
he's got that Napoleon complex going on.
Yeah.
Where he's got to be king shit at Turd Mountain.
Oh my god, that dude was fucking hilarious. And meanwhile, I'm just sitting in the back being like, man, I'm glad I'm back here and nobody can see me. Like I'm in line at the chow hall, all the tall people towering over me. They're getting picked out of line and screamed at. Meanwhile, I'm just sneaking by, like,
Yep.
Can't fucking see me. Oh, geez, guys. Fun times though.
Yeah, it was pretty good as long as you aren't the guy that's constantly getting your shit pushed in by drill sergeants all the time. But
especially when you're trying to eat, that's the worst.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
yeah, so let's talk about some of the things that we brought up in the. Speaking of military stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, you sent this story to our little group chat about a soldier with ties to a satanic neo-Nazi cult was going to try and get a bunch of his teammates killed.
Yeah, so this is an article from the Washington Post. I'm just going to read it to you guys directly. It goes, as Ethan Melzer's army unit prepared to deploy in April, the young private recognized that he could be killed while overseas and expressed an apparent willingness to die. I would have died successfully, he alleged. He allegedly wrote in a message. But federal authorities now say that Meltzer's life was actually at risk because of a murderous plot he had hatched against his own unit. Meltzer, a 22-year-old from Louisville, is accused of linking sensitive information about his unit to a satanic neo-Nazi cult as part of a plot to launch a mass casualty attack intended to cause the death of as many of his fellow service members as possible. In electronic messages, Meltzer allegedly shared details about his unit's location, movements, and security with members of the Order of Nine Angels, or O9A, an organization based in the United Kingdom and described by prosecutors as an occult-based neo-Nazi and racially motivated violent extremist group. Meltzer allegedly provided this potentially deadly information intending to be conveyed to a jihadist terrorist. Describing the planned attack as a murderous ambush, Strauss called Meltzer the enemy within, adding that he was motivated by racism and hatred as he attempted to carry out his ultimate act of betrayal. Whew, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, so I just want to I want to go back kind of to the beginning there where he says I would have died successfully. I'd really like to see what an unsuccessful death looks like. I mean, I've heard of like dying with valor, dying
kind of
heroically.
like the kamikaze pilot that just misses the ship and goes straight into the ocean. That's an unsuccessful death.
And then floats to the surface like, oh shit, I didn't even accomplish dying, right?
you get fished out and thrown in the brig and like, God damn it.
The suicide bomber who didn't notice that all of his bomb making material was painted blue for inert, and he goes to trigger it, and it's like, oh shucks, oh fiddlesticks.
Yeah, you remember the underwear bomber?
Yep, there was another unsuccessful death.
That's another. Well, he didn't die, so it was just an unsuccessful attempt at death.
Yeah,
I guess. But yeah, this guy apparently was motivated by a satanic neo-Nazi cult based out of the United Kingdom, which was going to pass information about his unit to Islamic terrorists who were then going to carry out an attack. And like, that's a convoluted plan right there. Couldn't you think of something more simple?
I can think of at least 210 ways to kill soldiers. That's because that's how much ammo they issue you when you deploy overseas. Like, why would a white supremacist, neo-Nazi, satanic cult pass on information to Arab Muslim jihadists in the Middle East?
How would they even get in contact with them?
Dark web? I don't know.
Do these guys have like a hotline? They pick up the jihadist phone. Jihadists look at the caller ID like, oh, look, those UK satanic neo-Nazis are calling us.
Yeah.
This call. Hi, Steve. How are you? How's the rituals going?
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to kill a bunch of soldiers? Oh, cool.
This whole thing just is really, really bizarre. Because you've got numerous points of failure here. You got a U.S. soldier contacting a cult in the United Kingdom in order to pass information off to jihadis in either Iraq or Afghanistan, I would be assuming. And
I mean, we're in so many places. Who knows where this was supposed to happen?
Yeah,
apparently the UK neo-Nazis know where it's supposed to happen because he gave them the information.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've seen plenty of Islamic terror attacks go on in the UK. So I mean, was this going to be like, were they going to get attacked while they were on the at the airport in the UK on a refueling stop, because that's one of the places that they stop off at? I mean, this whole thing just is like weird.
Yeah, it's absolutely bizarre, and it's the kind of thing I'd expect from Marines, but apparently it's coming from the Army instead. I don't know, man. I don't know. See, here's the thing. Everyone that's been in the military knows there's always that one guy, that one weird ass dude that you gotta look out for. Like when I was in Korea, I knew a guy who was like Wiccan or something, and he was super fucking weird, dude. And they had like there were a bunch of Wiccans on the base, and they would go up into this hill called Big Coyote and do their little Wiccan ritual things. His other guy would walk around the base dressed as a vampire when he was off duty. Like he came up to one of my I wouldn't call him buddy, but one of the dudes that worked with me was at a bar just sitting down having a few drinks. He was probably drunk, and this vampire dude came up and just sat next to him, and he just looked at him. And he told me later, I was so close to punching that guy just because I was so weirded out by him.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there enjoying the drink, having a good time.
And the base vampire comes up and
the goddamn vampire sitting next to you.
We had one guy that he claimed his religion was draconian, and that when he would die, he would be reincarnated as an invisible dragon flying in the upper atmosphere. And he wore this, like, it was like a ring, but it was more like the finger off of a gauntlet, off of a suit of armor that had like a big claw on it. And he also never took a shower. And
so he was that guy too.
He was combined. Yeah, he was that guy too. Yeah. It got so bad that we threatened to take him out, strip him naked in the motor pool, and hose him down with the pressure washer that we used to clean Humvees off. He kind of got his shit together after that.
Oh, dude, there was this one guy in my flight, and I found his duffel bag, and we didn't know who it belonged to. So, like, let's open it up and see who it belongs to. And I kid you not, there's mold all over the inside of this goddamn thing. Disgusting. He had all his gear in there and shit. It's like his gas mask, his cam gear, everything. Just mold all over it. You open it up, spores everywhere.
Oh god!
Yeah, floating in the air, like run!
Get your gas mask on now.
I mean, this dude went on deployment and didn't clean his room, and he had a fish tank in his room. He didn't tell anybody, so they do room inspections of deployed people, and they go into his room, and it's just fucking filthy. And some other poor slob has to clean that up for him. Very inconsiderate.
Very.
So yeah, there's that one weird guy, and then there's always the weird occultist guy that you got to watch out for, because apparently he'll pass on information on your unit to neo-Nazis in the UK.
Yep. Go with your gut on those types of people. Just don't trust them.
Yeah, it's probably not. Don't look normal people. Hang out with normal people. You know, the weird Satanists probably don't want to hang out with them too much. I don't know. There's probably some cool people who call themselves Satanists, but probably best not to take the chance. Because apparently there are only 2 degrees of separation away from Middle Eastern jihadists.
Who would have thought?
I didn't. I would never have thought that.
Yep.
Who knew that Billy Bob from fucking Louisville was going to be the guy?
Yep.
That was him. That was going to be the guy. So let's move on to some more fun news tonight. AOC apparently thinks that Latinos are black.
Yes. Let me be the first to congratulate you on your newly enhanced victim status, Nathan.
Oh, goody. I need some more of that.
Nathan, life matters.
I need more of that. Not only, but she got it all wrong. See, it's Latinx now. It's Latinx. Latinx. It's not Latino. It's Latinx.
Yes.
That's the preferred gender neutral term that you're supposed to use now. Because, the Spanish language is very gendered, in case
Yes.
people haven't heard. And that is very offensive to people who think there's a billion genders.
It is current year, you guys. Oops, I said you guys.
And, Latinos and Latinas aren't woke enough. So they have to come up with Latinx. Latinx.
Latinx.
Latinx.
Now it's like, what is it? Blatinx? Blatinx? Since we're just making shit up now, why not?
I don't know. See, here's the thing. Hispanic is a very odd racial definition because it's a mix of like everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is, because it's natives, right, mixed with white Europeans and black slaves. That, and you just throw it, I don't care, mix it up for a few hundred years, and there you go. You got Latinx is what comes out of that. So you
can correct me if I'm wrong, but when I hear Hispanic, I think, immediately most people think of like Central and South America, but to me it more just is like people who have Spanish as a primary language, at least in like their heritage, kind of like how people who speak English are in the Anglosphere. You're not necessarily from England if you speak English, but you're in the Anglosphere. So that's how I kind of see Hispanic. I'm probably wrong. I'm an idiot, but whatever.
Yeah, it's the distinction seems to be, well, it's weird because you throw Brazil in there too, and they speak Portuguese.
Yeah,
and a lot of people consider them Hispanic, but maybe you shouldn't consider Brazilians Hispanic. I don't know. It is a very fine line, I guess. But yeah, a lot of the times you'll consider people who are from former Spanish colonies to be Hispanic. And, people from the US and Canada, obviously, those are former British colonies. And then you throw in Portugal in there just to confuse everybody. And they speak Portuguese. And, the Spanish should have just taken over Portugal long ago so we could avoid this confusion. The world has too many languages as it is. Do we really need Portuguese? Do we have any Portuguese watching? Do we really need you? I don't know. Maybe we do.
Maybe we do. Yeah, there's quite a bit of libertarian crossover for people in Brazil. I was kind of surprised when I heard about it on some place where it's like there's a big South American, Brazil, Venezuela, places like that where people have been pretty tramped down on by government. So we got any Portuguese speaking Brazilians, send us your women. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Send us your women. That is horrible.
Yeah.
That is horrible, Dustin. You should be ashamed of yourself.
But I'm not.
All those perfectly good Latinx, and you're telling them to send them over here. How dare you? So yeah, so in a way, Hispanics do have some black ancestry in them, like most, I would probably say, do. Like I almost definitely do, right? So maybe, yeah, I guess some, but I don't think that you could just be like, yo, I'm black now. Like, that's the way it works. You're not black. Those are two different things, right? Like, yeah, there are black Hispanics, and there are Hispanics with a lot more black ancestry than white ancestry, but you're still not the same thing, especially when you're talking in an American context, because this is definitely not the same thing.
Yep, and I think that an argument could be made, though, Nathan, that I think that you have probably a larger claim to blackness than someone like Sean King, old Talcum X.
John King, Mr. Offended by portraits of Jesus being white and wants to tear them down because they're white supremacy. You see this? You see this?
Yes.
We need to tear down depictions of Jesus as a white man because it's white supremacy, or white Europeans in the Middle Ages just depicted him that way because that's how they viewed people looking.
Yeah.
Oh no, how horrible.
Yeah, Christians 1500 years ago in the Middle East depicted Jesus as a Middle Eastern. Christians 1500 years ago in Europe depicted him as a European. Christians 1500 years ago in Ethiopia, where there's a very large Christian population and one of the oldest Christian traditions, viewed him as black. It was just a way when the missionaries were converting the local population to make it more relatable. That's all it was. You just adjust the image to fit the culture that you're trying to proselytize to. It has nothing to do with white supremacy. It's about acclimating the tradition to your local culture.
Yeah, exactly. And the history of the Ethiopian church is actually quite fascinating. Because these guys claim that the Ethiopian emperors, one of them married like the daughter of King Solomon. So they like claim descendants from King Solomon. So that's like super like Ethiopia. Like that's amazing. And you never think of Ethiopia as a Christian nation, but it's one of the oldest Christian nations on planet Earth. Like they were converted by the Romans, and then when the Arabs conquered the Middle East, they got kind of cut off from the rest of the Christian world, and they just kind of went their own meandering way after that. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, that would be, if you could get somebody who's an expert on that for one of your Monday historical talks about, the various when Rome decided that they were going to centralize and absorb the rest of Christendom into the holy, the Roman Catholic Church, and then there were some like in Greece and in Ethiopia and like Russian Orthodox, and they decided like, nah, fam, we good over here. That would, that would be something interesting to talk about.
It would be. It would be. The history of early Christianity is fucking crazy weird. Yeah. And it's not all be Christian or die. It's not all that, okay? I see a lot of atheists be like, oh, Christianity spread through the sword too. Like, not really. I mean, in some cases, yes. But mostly, no. Mostly, they just converted the Roman Empire, right? And then 1,000 years later, the Crusaders started up.
Yep.
Right? That came 1,000 years later, guys. Chill out. All right.
Deus Vult. Yeah. Producer Ben says his favorite is 6 Pound Baby Jesus. I like the Baby Jesus best, Chip.
I like to picture Jesus in a tuxedo shirt because it says I'm formal, but I like to party. That's the best Jesus right there. There, 12 pound, 6 pound, 12 ounce, newborn baby Jesus. Jesus was a man. He had a beard. Love it.
I pray to the Christmas Jesus because that's the Jesus I like best, Chip.
All right. Well, speaking of which, here's another story that's I find absolutely hilarious. And this is This is from the New York Post. It goes, Oregon County issues face mask order that exempts non-white people. Get this. Lincoln County, Oregon has exempted non-white people from a new order requiring that face coverings be worn in public to prevent racial profiling. Health officials announced last week residents must wear face coverings in public settings where they may come within 6 feet of another individual who is not from the same household. But people of color do not have to follow the new rule if they have, quote, heightened concerns about racial profiling and harassment, unquote, over wearing masks, official says. No person shall intimidate or harass people who do not comply, health officials say. With mask requirements becoming more common, activists have raised concern that the directives could put non-white people in danger. Quote, for many black people, Deciding whether or not to wear a bandana in public to protect themselves and others from contracting coronavirus is a lose-lose situation that can result in life-threatening consequences either way, unquote. Woo! So this is how you know that these so-called health concerns over COVID-19 aren't real. This is how you know that they're not taking this seriously. So why should you? Because they are sitting here telling you that the only people who have to wear a mask, which is apparently to protect other people from getting sick, the only people who have to wear them are white people. We don't have to worry about black people or Hispanic people or Asians or whoever getting sick of coronavirus. It's just you damn white people. Why the fuck can't you white people wear a mask? And just leave me alone, though. I don't got to wear it.
Because you're black now.
I'm black now. See? Because I'm black now. But even before, being Latinx exempts me too. This is hilarious. Why would
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, man, this is like reverse Jim Crow laws. It's like when we talked a couple of weeks ago when I was saying that there's no karma referee keeping track of who's being oppressed. This is like them doing that. This is like, oh, okay, yeah, so all the white people have to drink at this water fountain now. They have to sit at the back of the bus, and they have to eat at this counter, and they have to wear a mask. Everybody else is exempt, but these fucking honkies over here, they got to wear the muzzle, and it's so fucking absurd. And they couch it in this whole, oh, if black people wear a mask, they're going to get mistaken for criminals because black people are all criminals in these people's minds, I guess.
It's like criminals don't wear the like a bandana. Okay, you can wear a bandana as a mask as a criminal, but most people I see walking around aren't wearing bandanas. They're wearing fucking medical masks. And guess what? Everyone's wearing medical masks now. It's not an odd thing to see anymore. Like, yeah, 6 months ago, you see somebody wrapped up in a bandana, and you're like, well, that's odd. I wonder what that's all about. Now you see it, you're like, yeah, it's another guy with a bandana. Everyone's wearing bandanas on their faces. Everyone has a mask. It's like, oh, but that black guy, he could be wearing the mask because he's about to rob a bank or something. Is that the assumption we're going with here?
Yeah.
Like, I thought the point of a mask was to protect other people in your vicinity. What they are saying here is, white people, you need to stop being so selfish and spreading the disease. But if you're not white, you can't spread the disease, apparently, and you can apparently just do whatever the heck you want. Which we've known for weeks now that you can just do whatever the heck you want anyway. But now it's being codified in this Lincoln County, Oregon, where they're only going to make white people wear masks.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that, you know, one, there is a bit of an uptick in armed robberies because everybody is wearing a mask. I think that's kind of leveled itself off because now more people are going out there and buying guns, which is a good thing to see. But it's like you said, you know, everybody's wearing like medical masks now. You know, nobody's out there like wearing a bandana like your stereotypical criminal about to rob a store or something. Everybody's got these. The supply has caught up with demand. You either have the purpose-built cloth washable face masks, or you have the cheap little surgical. Looks like a dollar store Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Great value brand Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. I fucking love it. I'll be dollar store Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Album.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's so dumb. You know, everybody's got their mask, and if you see somebody wearing like a field expedient mask, like a bandana or pulling their shirt up over their face or something, it's because they forgot to bring one or they didn't know that the place that they were going to required one, which is stupid. Now everybody's talking about what you look like.
Apparently now I look like albino chummy Jamie Foxx. I'm not chubby, am I? I just got big cheeks.
Team America, Matt Damon.
I take that as a compliment, though. Jamie Foxx is a handsome man. I'll take it. Whatever. I'm black now, so what are you talking about?
Yeah, there you go. You know, you all look alike.
We all- you can't tell the difference.
Oh, that's going to get us in trouble.
I mean, that's the thing about it. This COVID stuff has been it's just been a practice of hypocrisy from the second that the George Floyd riot started out. I mean, we all knew that the panicking was overblown, but just to see the levels to which mostly Democratic politicians will go in order to justify protests of thousands and thousands of people, and at the same time criticize a Donald Trump rally. Like, you're spreading the virus. He's the one doing it. It's like, guys, if you're sitting here claiming to be pro-science, but this is a very anti-scientific approach to these things. If COVID-19 is really as serious as you say it is, then both are a no-go. Neither should be allowed, right? But you're allowing one and not another. And I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm thinking there might be a political motive to that. And by the way, we can't let this episode go without mentioning the hilariousness that happened at Donald Trump's Tulsa rally, where he thought he was going to get 100,000 people, and it was like less than half of that in the stadium, all because of some TikTok users. Fucking what?
I don't know. I've heard a few things. Like they say that the RSVP list was 1 million or over 1 million, and it turned out that a bunch of kids on TikTok were just making bot accounts and doing RSVP so that it would be embarrassing when, only 12,000 people showed up in Tulsa, Oklahoma during a supposedly like the next Black Death. And the thing about it is that the way that these RSVPs work is it's just you say, I want to go, and then you get a ticket number, and it's free, so you don't have to pay anything. But you get a ticket number, and then when you show up at the door, you get put on their data mining list as one of the first X number that came through the door. So the TikTok kids didn't accomplish shit. They thought they did. They thought that they were like snatching up all the tickets and everything. There were no tickets to snatch up.
No, what they did was inflate everyone's expectation of how many people were going to be there, and then the rally starts and it's like not anywhere close to that many people there, right? And apparently President Trump was very angry that he had like a quarter of the people that he thought were going to be in that stadium. Can't confirm, but it seems like the very sort of thing that Donald Trump would be super pissed about. Like, I wanted this rally to be the biggest, to be the best rally, just huge, the hugest rally in all the world, and it was like small.
Yeah.
Like this is the very kind of thing that Donald Trump would be upset about. It's like stupid.
Yeah, they want to make hay about that, but at the same time, Joe Biden also had a rally at which like 10 people showed up. But we're not going to talk about that. And there's a video. It's him at a podium, and then it's like in a high school gym, and the chairs, I shit you not, there's folding chairs on the basketball court, and they've all got 6-foot diameter white circles around them, so everybody could practice their social distancing.
Very nice. Here's the difference, though. Donald Trump lives off of these rallies.
True.
Of his. That's his thing. He loves standing in front of a packed stadium talking to all his loyal supporters. He loves that shit. He lives for that shit. That's probably one of the reasons he ran for president, so that he'd have the opportunity to do that all the time. But Joe Biden, he doesn't want to be in front of people, right? He doesn't want people to see him. You think he wants to stand in front of a crowd of thousands of people? You know, like when he does that, he ends up putting his wife's hand in his mouth. I mean, he just weird shit like that.
Kissing his granddaughter on the lips and being weirdo.
Yeah, getting his wife and his sister confused. He starts talking about his blonde, hairy legs and how kids like to sit on his lap and how he had to beat up Corn Pop with a chain.
Corn Pop, oh, that dastardly bastard.
Dastardly Corn Pop. So yeah, Joe Biden doesn't want to be in front of a crowd. Oh, God, no, he doesn't. He'd probably faint if he had to be in front of a crowd as big as Trump rallies get. But
right, so we got I have to break in here. We got a comment down there. A guy says he can make Joe Biden deepfakes endorsing the boog. And I have to agree with North Carolina says, why my PP hard? Yes.
you think Joe Biden even knows what the boog is?
Joe Biden doesn't even know who Joe Biden is.
No, he definitely does not.
At this point.
Oh, Joe Biden. You know, I gotta say this is gotta be the funniest election cycle ever.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because we got on one hand Donald Trump, and we all know how fucking crazy it is that Donald Trump even got this far to be running for re-election as president. Tell you from 8 years ago that right now you'd be talking about Donald Trump running for re-election as president. You'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And you'd be like, oh, he's going against Joe Biden. Oh, well, obvious. Yeah, but he's had dementia for like 2 years now, and he can't formulate a sentence, and he keeps getting his wife and sister mixed up. It's like, oh, that's the kind of election this is. Trump and Joe Biden. And meanwhile, we still can't let any third-party candidates in the debate because that's just too confusing. Fucking crazy. I tell you, man, it's gonna be a fun rest of the year. 2020 is just the worst year ever.
I hope that during one of the debates, Donald Trump just like pulls out a key ring and like jiggles it in front of him, like when you're trying to keep a baby occupied. Like, hey Joe, look at the keys. Look at the keys, Joe.
He grabs a laser pointer and points it at the ground, and Joe Biden starts chasing it around.
Well, listen here, Jack. There's a red dot running around on the floor. I'm gonna catch it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, this is going to be the sort of year that people write entire books about, right? You know those books that just have a year on them and you know exactly what it's about, right? Yep. Like, you see a book called 1776, you know exactly what that book is about. You don't have to read the back cover, you know what it's about. Well, someday we're going to be going through the bookstores and there's going to be a book called 2020, and we're going to be like, 2020, I remember that year.
Yep.
You're gonna be holding your grandkid's hand, and you're gonna be passing that book, and we're like, Dad, Granddaddy, do you remember 2020? Like, time to tell you a story.
Oh boy!
It all started with a World War III scare.
It all started on May 28th, 2016, the day Harambe died.
What does that have to do with 2020? We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
Oh, boy. All right, we're going to wrap it up there, everybody. It's been fun. You got anything else you want to share before we wrap things up, Hobbs?
I don't know. I think this Friday's episode, if we do one, it's going to be me and some of the boys that interviewed Joe, and maybe a couple of others. kind of doing a post-mortem breakdown on how things went and what they think. Depending on how this episode goes, there might be plenty more to talk about because we're still getting comments about last night's episode. We're still getting likes rolling in on the page. Roadkill Cafe is doing great. Everything's going pretty good.
Oh yeah, that episode, that's a great episode that you and Ben put together there, and with all the book boys that you had on. It's fucking fantastic. Joe's a great candidate. I didn't expect her to win the nomination, but now she has. I'm glad she has it.
Yep.
Because fucking Mama Joe and the Boog Boys, that's a sitcom right there. That's a sitcom we deserve. Make it happen, America.
Yep. We've always got backup plans if she doesn't win the presidency.
Yeah, a hockey playing soccer mom with all her little kiddos, and they're just the Boog Boys following her around in their little Hawaiian shirts.
bunch of middle-aged men in Hawaiian shirts with alcoholism calling her mom.
Yeah, they all have a and you go. She goes to check if they clean their rooms. Like, you put your guns away. I told you to put this ammunition in its crates. What are your NVGs doing all over the floor?
Yep.
When I come back here and I want all your fatigues put away in the closet. Mama Joe and the Boog Boys. That'd be the most fantastic TV show ever. Well, so these are plans. These are Joe Jorgensen. Right. If you're listening, these are ideas for the post-election career opportunities. Right. This is what we're making suggestions for you. You can make a lot of money, Joe. Mama Joe and the Boog Boys. Perfect idea.
Yep, I think that's a good place to leave it off.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you want to listen to these episodes, you got to go subscribe to Think Liberty on your favorite podcasting app. Subscribe to Think Liberty on YouTube and like our Facebook page. If you want to be a part of these conversations, we do Token and Hobbs show every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good night.